Kathleen, and today on the AAARCC Cooking channel, I will be preparing egg biryani. So, our first step will be to pour 2 cups of basmati rice into a large bowl, and then to soak the rice in 4 cups of water. So, you'll want to soak the rice for approximately 20 minutes. So I'll be starting a timer here. Our next step will be to prepare a 1/2 cup of cilantro. So to prepare cilantro, you will need to remove each leaf from the stalks, and then you will chop these leaves into small pieces. Alright, so now that we have that done, our next step will be to dice 1 tomato. Excellent, so now that we have the tomato diced, we will move on to preparing 1½ tablespoons of minced garlic. So now that we have our 1½ tablespoons of minced garlic ready, we can move on to chopping up into small pieces 1 yellow onion. So now that we've finished chopping the 1 yellow onion, we're ready to move on to the next part of this recipe, which is cooking things in the Instant Pot. Okay, so the first thing that we will do now that we are using the Instant Pot is to take the little egg rack thing and place it inside. Then we're going to take 6 eggs and place them kind of just like spread out on the egg rack inside of the Instant Pot. That's probably fine. And we will add 1 cup of water to the inside. Ooh, it sounds like the rice is done soaking. So we'll pour that water in and stop the timer. Then we will replace the lid onto the Instant Pot. Perfect. And we'll make sure that the top is set to sealing. And then we will pressure cook the eggs on high for 5 minutes. And then this part takes a while, so we'll just take a break and let the Instant Pot do its thing. Okay, so the next step will be, well, when the 20-minute timer goes off, it is time to drain the water from the rice. So I've actually already done that off camera. But while the eggs are continuing to do their thing in the Instant Pot, I like to prepare the spice mixes ahead of time. So spice mix number 1 contains 1 teaspoon of cumin, 2 bay leaves, and ½ a teaspoon of black pepper. Spice mix number 2 contains ½ a teaspoon of turmeric, 2.5 teaspoons of salt, 1.5 teaspoons of garam masala, and 1.5 teaspoons of ginger. So I like to just prepare the spices ahead of time and then set them over to the side until I need them later on in the cooking. So after your eggs have completed their pressure cooking in the Instant Pot, you'll allow them to do a natural pressure release for 5 minutes, and then you will switch over the valve on the top of the Instant Pot to venting. So this will release the rest of the steam that's located within the Instant Pot. While that is happening, we're going to prepare an ice bath for the eggs. So put some ice cubes into a bowl that can fit 6 eggs. I like to fill the water up to about halfway in the bowl to ensure that the eggs will be completely submerged. So now we'll place the eggs into their bath so that they can cool down. And we're just going to set these aside for a while we cook some other stuff, and we'll return to them later to peel them. So you'll want to remove the little egg rack from the bottom of the Instant Pot and pour out the water that we used to cook the eggs. You'll want to be extra careful here though, because the egg rack and this inner pot are very hot, so don't burn yourself. So next we will be sauteing some things. So we're going to start by pushing the saute button on the Instant Pot, and and we're going to add 2 tablespoons of butter. So the Instant Pot will be reheating at this point, so you're going to want to make sure that the entire cube of butter is melted before you add the onions in. For this step, you'll be sauteing the onions for approximately 10 minutes. We are looking for a golden brown color here, so you may get there a little bit sooner, a little bit later. So one thing that you will want to avoid while you're sauteing the onions is allowing them to sit in any one place on the bottom for too long. This will cause the butter to sort of burn on to the pot, and it's incredibly difficult to clean off later. So now that all the butter is melted, we're going to add in our yellow onion. And we will, like I said, be sauteing this for approximately 10 minutes. Your goal is a golden brown color. So we're at approximately 3 minutes remaining on the onion sauteing at this point, and for the purposes of this video, I'm going to have my assistant demonstrate peeling the eggs, but this step can really be completed at any point. You can do it before you begin to saute the onions, or you can wait until after you finish sauteing everything in the pot to peel the eggs and then cook everything together. So over to the eggs. So you'll want to make a slit in the eggs during this step. This will allow the spices to absorb more fully into the egg during the last step of the process when you cook everything together. So we've now reached the 10-minute mark on sauteing the onions. So what we're going to do now is take 2 tablespoons of water real quick, and we're going to deglaze the bottom of the pot. So if you're like me, you've probably burnt butter onto the bottom. This is your chance to eliminate as much of that as you can before you have to scrub it off later while you're cleaning up. So just do your best to get that off with the spatula. And now we're going to add spice mix 1, which you probably remember from earlier. It's the bay leaves, the black pepper, and cumin. So we're going to mix that in and saute for 1 additional minute. So we've just finished sauteing this for an additional minute. And now we're going to turn off the Instant Pot. And we will be adding in spice mix number 2. So make sure you stir that around. We'll also be adding the tomatoes, the garlic, and the cilantro. So you'll want to stir that up really good. And then our final ingredient that we will be adding to this mixture is a 1/2 cup of plain Greek yogurt. So you want to stir that up really well. So after you've got this all mixed up, we will now add the eggs into the pot again. So for this step, it's important to make sure that the eggs are thoroughly coated in the mixture. After you have coated the eggs in the mixture, you will add the rice from earlier. So then you'll want to spread the rice out to create a kind of flat layer on top of everything. And you'll add 2 cups of water approximately. The important part for this next step is to ensure that all of the rice is underwater. That way it will cook thoroughly. You can also stir it a little bit gently to make sure that the spices are dispersed throughout the water. Alright, so once you've accomplished that, you will once again replace the lid onto the Instant Pot. You will set the valve on top to sealing again. And we're going to be pressure cooking again for 5 minutes, but this time we'll be cooking on low instead of high. And then we just let the pressure, the Instant Pot do its thing. So the contents of the pot have finished cooking and it has been allowed to depressurize naturally for 5 minutes. So now I'm going to go ahead and switch the valve on top over to venting again to release all the remaining steam. It's a little bit more steam than last time. Okay, it seems like it's probably safe to open now. Excellent. It's a little bit drippy in the top. So once you've removed the lid of the Instant Pot, you can go ahead and stir up the contents to make sure everything is distributed. At this point, I prefer to sort of mash up the eggs. That way it's mixed in well instead of it just being like whole eggs. So I'm gonna do that with a fork real quick. If you do decide to do this, be careful not to accidentally touch the sides. They're very hot. I think that was all the eggs. Excellent. So I'm going to go ahead and scoop some of this out. And there you have it, egg biryani. I would taste test it right now, but it's extremely hot. So thanks for attending Cooking on the AARCC channel, and boiler up!